Welcome to the Author's Show. This is a show where authors can talk about their books, how they write them, how they publish them, and how they market them. We are on YouTube. We are on Facebook. Just search for The Writer's Dream. If you have a question for us, please address it to the Facebook page, and we will try to answer it. And if you would like to be a guest, approach it the same way. I'm Linda Frank, a.k.a. Linda Maria Frank. I write the Annie Tillery Mystery Series. Our guest today is William Freedman, a.k.a. Bill Freedman. He is a satirist. He is the author of Mighty, and Land That I Love. He is also the editor of Age of Certainty. He is a contributor to magazines and newspapers with various kinds of articles, both serious and not so serious. So, Bill.
Yes.
Can I call you Bill? Or would you?
Can I call you Karen?
You can call me. You can call me Nancy.
Call you Nancy. Okay. It's spelled W-I-L-L-I-A-M. It is pronounced Bill.
No, my brother's name is William, so I know it's not pronounced Bill. So, tell us about your life as a satirist.
Well, life as a satirist.
Would you rather talk about the book?
Yeah, I'd rather talk about the book.
Would you like to give us some of your background?
Okay. I had a first career as a journalist. I wrote for Rodale Press and the Fort Lauderdale Sun-Sentinel, Palm Beach Post, Chemical Week magazine. And then I realized that this just doesn't pay. So I got a job in IT. I've been working as an IT management consultant past years, and that pays the bills and provides me with the with the latitude I need to sit down and write and still support a family. So I write in whatever spare time I have, and wow, I guess I had a lot of spare time one year.
That's a nice fat book.
Consider the source.
Well, so I would like you to talk a little bit, just to be serious for a moment, about the other books that you've written, and just give us a little summary of them and how you got to this point.
All right, well, I guess it was about, I guess it would have to have been about 15 years ago. A friend of mine dragged me out to Icon, which at the time was the big science fiction convention on the island. And I met and got a chance to chat with James Morrow, who is just more of a fabulist, more of a mainstream author. But he had just done a speculative fiction trilogy called the Godhead Trilogy, and it was about what if we knew God was dead because we found the body, and anyway, I got a chance to talk to him, and he's had a million great ideas. He and I have stayed in touch over the years. But anyway, it was kind of a transformative thing. I started going to Icon year after year, started doing some writing, got involved in a critique group that met at book review at Huntington, and we once a month get together and tear each other's manuscripts apart. And eventually I figured out that I'm better at the long game than the short game. Short stories are not my natural length. Pretty much everything I wrote ended up being like a couple thousand words longer than the last thing. So I said, okay, I give up. This is going to be a novel. And I wrote Land That I Love. And I don't really consider myself an actual science fiction fantasy writer. I am a huge science fiction and fantasy reader and fan. And one of my favorite memories of Icon was closing down the bar with R2 and Mrs. D2. Kenny Baker must have had a hollow leg or something. That little guy could drink. Couldn't keep up with him. But anyway, I am a science fiction and fantasy fan, and so I use the science fiction and fantasy tropes in my books, but my books are satire.
Can you define the word trope? I see that popping up now and again, never saw it before. What does that mean, trope?
Oh, take a lesson with your cantor. He'll explain. No, that's Torah trope. But trope just basically means the memes that are generally accepted within a genre. For instance, maybe 60 years ago, if you were writing a science fiction story, you had to explain the whole concept of faster than light travel or faster than light communication.
Okay.
Now you just explained it in a couple of words because people are ready to go with the givens. So all of these go with the givens that speculative fiction provides, I think, is an excellent basis for writing good satire. And Land That I Love was a political satire. Basically, what happens is in the future, a galactic hyperpower invades America in the same ham-fisted way that we now invade other countries, and hijinks ensue. There's a wedding at the end. It's a comedy, but in the meantime, the reader is left temporarily scratching his or her head, saying, "Who should I be rooting for?" And he goes, "I mean, this is during the Bush administration, back at a time and when you
When
really
we all
couldn't
needed
question."
satire.
Yeah, when we needed satire and we weren't getting it, and I would love. You can go on my website, www.autorlangsatura.com.
There you go.
It is
Spell that rapidly.
Well, it'll be on your screen, but anyway, it's Latin for "don't encourage him." But if you go on there, you get to read some of the rejection letters I got for my political satire during the Bush administration, and I think that speaks tellingly about the wusses who publish books. But
And we're strange people slapping like little electronic devices on your car and tapping your phone and.
no, but it's funny how long that Verizon truck was parked in front of my house. I didn't have any problem with my phone. I don't know, maybe someone else in the neighborhood. But anyway, it was just at a time when if you weren't 100% behind whatever was coming out of the White House at that moment, you hated America, hated our freedoms, and were with the terrorists, and all that kind of baloney that
Yeah, that
really
went on during the Vietnam War, too. Seems to be a recurring theme.
Yeah, you'd think we'd learn, but no. But anyway, eventually, Rebel Publishers had the guts to publish it. The fact that they are based 10,000 miles away in South Africa at the time, I think had something to do with it.
That's very funny.
But anyway, so that finally saw daylight. By the time it saw daylight, it was actually a lot of the material was not so current anymore. But at least as you say, this is a recurring theme.
But it's becoming current again.
and it will be again. It's like Catch-22 or MASH. Just because the war that they're writing about hasn't been going on for a while doesn't mean the next one isn't coming right up. So this really wasn't so much an anti-war book, Land That I Love, as being an anti-hubris book. But it was a political satire, and the audience was left to fend for themselves, deciding whether they're supposed to root for this galactic hyperpower, which is obviously the stand-in for the Bush administration America, or if they should be rooting for the insurgents who happen to be actually Americans. So anyway, ultimately.
And was that a cathartic experience to write that?
Okay, I told you what trope means. Cathartic?
Did it enable you to get rid of negative emotions?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Tell us about Mighty Mighty.
Okay, great, because that also didn't help.
This really sounds like a fun book.
Right, Lexapro, Klonopin, those are things that help you get rid of negative emotions. But writing, no, that doesn't help, not a little bit. I mean, how, God, how many writers have killed themselves? But anyway,
Yeah. Come on, mighty, mighty.
Mighty Mighty. Okay.
Characters.
All right, now that I've harshed everyone's mellow, Mighty Mighty is a social satire. It's, as a kid, I was a big comic book collector. I really liked the Marvel comics and a little bit of the DC, but certainly more Marvel. And I always wondered, how would the world really be different if we had if we had a small but significant percentage of the population that actually had superpowers? And what I come up with,
Don't we?
but you're getting ahead of me. Yeah, we do. We all have abilities, skills, talents that we don't use. And maybe we're afraid of success, or afraid of failure, or afraid of humiliation, or afraid of comparing ourselves to other people who might be more powerful.
Or
Who
in other
knows?
times, afraid of being burned at the stake.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So anyway, I've got a bunch of superheroes who are super strong, and they can fly, and they can turn invisible, and
I like
they're
Mr.
super fast.
Mucus. Is Mr. Mucus?
Mucus Man.
Mucus Man.
Yeah, he kind of took over the story. Yeah, all these characters are in some way parodies of Marvel or DC characters, and sometimes amalgamations
Well,
of them.
I'm just going to
Yeah.
read one sentence from your review here. And it's not really a review, it's the book, because it really kind of explains the book.
Okay.
It says, instead of fighting evil on a comic scale, they guard, this is
On a
your
cosmic
super-
scale, perhaps?
Yeah, I'm sorry, cosmic scale. They guard St. Louis's Chesterfield Mall. That is until the day the villains lobby, the American Malevolence Institute, sets its sights on the ordinary shopping center. Why in a shopping center?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that. There's zombies in this, and yeah, and a lot of the book is an homage to the George Romero zombies, the slow moving zombies, and
As opposed to the supersonic zombies.
you're not up to speed on this, are you?
No,
Okay.
pardon the pun.
But anyway, yes. So these superpowered beings are mall cops, and the reason why I said in a mall is because really the last third of the book is a direct ripoff of Dawn of the Dead. And I prefer homage, but it's a ripoff.
At least you're honest.
I only steal from the
So
best.
explain your characters, because they really sound very interesting and inventive
Okay, Mucus
and
Man-
sick.
And sick, yeah. That's the thing, is that they're all damaged in some way, just as we are in the real world. Now, you mentioned Mucus Man. He has, if you're familiar with the Marvel Comics hero Cyclops from the X-Men. I'm talking Dothraki to you, aren't I? Okay, so anyway, I don't know what Dothraki is either. Oh, God, I'm going to leave now. Anyway, Mucus Man is a parody of Cyclops in that Cyclops has these eye beams. He takes off his glasses, and these beams shoot out his eyes, and their force is like getting hit by a cannon when he looks at you without his ruby quartz glasses on.
Thank God.
So anyway, Mucus Man has this exploding snot. He sneezes at you, and it goes off with the force of a howitzer, and he has got some developmental issues, in that he is definitely on the autistic spectrum. Probably has Asperger's. He's definitely got obsessive compulsive.
ADHD.
Yeah, well, more OCD.
Okay. Does he have ODD too?
No, he does, oppositional defiance
you
disorder?
go,
No.
very
Hey, I've
good.
got 3 teenage sons.
Yeah,
I know
so
that
you
one.
know all about
I know
that.
all about ODD. I one time accused my son of having ODD, and he says, I do not. And I said, how did you do that, Dad? All right. Anyway, the deal with Mucus Man is that he can't relate to people as people. There's this Rain Man thing to him, but he's an incredibly noble person, given to self-sacrifice. He'll do anything for what's right. It's just that he can't connect with people on a human level. And there's a triangle involving him and another character who goes by Count Karma, Master of Arts, who is a takeoff of Doctor Strange. And if you haven't heard of Doctor Strange, Linda, and you haven't, have you?
Dr. Strange Love, yeah. No, I haven't heard of Dr. Strange, I'm sorry.
Okay. Benedict Cumberbatch is going to play him in the movie. It's coming out next year.
What's the movie?
Doctor Strange.
Okay. Is he a comic character?
Yeah, he's a comic book character, and basically he is the master of the mystic arts. And anyway, with Doctor Strange, he would team up with other superheroes, and they'd be fighting the bad guys' minions here on Earth, and they'd be losing badly. And then Doctor Strange would go off into a corner and go into a trance. Basically, it looks like he's going to sleep, taking a nap. And he would transport his consciousness to the ethereal plane where he would battle the big bad to victory, or at least a stalemate, and force him into retreat. And then what would happen is that victory on the ethereal plane would be reflected on Earth by his teammates turning the tide of battle and beating up his minions on Earth. And then when the battle was done, Doctor Strange would settle back into his corporeal form and stand back up. And if I were one of his teammates, I'd be saying, how come every time we're in trouble, Strange goes and takes a nap? What is with that guy? He's useless.
So the important question is, who wins them all?
Well, that's right here on page 400 and something. You can buy it on Amazon. Anyway,
I'm assuming that the struggle for them all is really a representation of other kinds of struggles in society. I'm hoping.
Okay. But anyway, I think at the heart of any plot, you really kind of need a triangle. I think that's what people are really interested in is who is challenging whom for whom, and who is whom going to choose, and whom is who going to choose. Anyway, yeah. And anyway, at the heart of the triangle between the guy with the exploding snot and the guy who is a superhero on the ethereal plane and completely useless on Earth. In the middle there is a woman who is named Mindy McGuire. She was a rather strident feminist. She was a women's studies major at Smith College. And then she's presented with a Cassandra's choice of she had to select among the goddesses in a beauty contest. And she makes a selection. There's no right selection to make. She makes a selection. And the goddess who wins gives her the gift that she's going to have a superpower. And the other goddesses say, sure, but it'll be the last superpower in the world that she'd want. And they make her the epitome of feminine beauty. And she has to go change her major. Anyway, she switches form back and forth between her regular Mindy McGuire personality and the personality that that the press has dubbed supermodel.
Oh dear.
Yeah, she hates that too. She goes by Georgiana. If you really have to call me something in my other form, call me Georgiana, which is Washington Irving reference. But anyway,
So like sending her to the mall is like sending her to hell, right?
yeah, especially because she's assistant manager trainee at Macy's and she walks around with, she's been working there for 14 months, and her name tag still says, "Hello, my name is trainee." And so she's at the heart of the triangle. One other character who's just a lot of fun to write was this guy, the indomitable Lug. If you're familiar with Marvel Comics at all, you know the character Thor. And Thor is, of course, the Norse god of thunder and a big part of the Avengers team. And he speaks with these Jacobean flourishes as if he's reading Shakespeare or the King James Bible, and there's all these these and thous and witherfores in his vocabulary. And I was left to wonder, like pretty much since I was 13 years old, what if he had Tourette's? And what if he just kind of blurted out like a couple thousand years worth of English, Anglo-Saxon, and Celtic profanities that he has at his command at any given time. And, research, but he was a lot of fun to write.
So who's your audience for this book? People who understand comics and comic books.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'm hoping to kind of
comic book world.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping to cash in.
Could somebody who's like comic book challenged like me read it and get it?
No,
Oh, dear.
no.
So you
However-
narrowed your audience.
Yeah, and that's an important thing to understand, is that nobody can write a book that's going to appeal to everyone. I mean, I was...
Oh, there's the Bible, come on. Doesn't appeal to everyone, though.
No, but you can pretty much find anything you're looking for in there.
What was the hardest part of writing this book?
I think the hardest part was probably learning to trust the process. There's two kinds of writers of fiction, the plotters and the pantsers. Pantsers meaning you fly by the seat of your pants.
I like that,
Yeah.
Pantsers.
Yeah.
I'm going to write that down.
Okay, I didn't make it up. And I don't know if you'd be able to read it in the yellow
Nope.
thing. Here, you want to
No, I have the other side
Okay.
is a pen.
Oh, okay, great. So,
Continue.
all right, so anyway, I'm not a plotter. I have great ideas, and I can write the first, like, 4 or 5 chapters of book this thick on one pot of coffee.